Hello, everyone, and welcome to another beautiful day here on From the Stump. So I wanted to go through, we're going to do things a little bit different this week. We had a lot of material that we wanted to cover. So we had the opportunity yesterday, we shot a bunch of stuff, and I wanted to take it kind of back to the basics and go through what I do when I start the Sawmill, why we're doing what we do. We had Kelly come in, and we got her input on some stuff and critiqued some of it. So I think there's going to be a lot of valuable information in what you're going to see. We broke it down into 3 segments, okay? So because I know everybody doesn't have all the time in the world, and maybe you can't watch it all at once. So there's a kind of an A, B, and a C. I'm anticipating there's going to be a world of questions from this. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to do a complete follow-up segment with all of the questions that come from these 3 little ABC videos that we did. So a couple of things I want to point out that I missed talking about yesterday when we were doing it is some of you might wonder when I'm going through my checklist and you hear me talking, what about the gas? What about the oil? They were full, they were checked. So we did that prior before I got into it, just to kind of give everybody that information. Let me know what's on your mind. It doesn't matter what the question is, or if you're worried about, somebody else thinking about what it is that you're wondering, don't. Just put it out there and let's talk about it, because I promise if you're wondering, there's probably 150 other people wondering at the same time. So I think what we're going to do is we'll get that queued up, and please give me a thumbs up if you like what you're watching. I love to always know where you're watching from. And then, as always, put your questions in there, because I love answering them and I love talking to you guys. So I look forward to getting back with you here and talking about what you're going to see. Thanks very much. Stay tuned. All right, thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of From the Stump. This week we're going to talk about some of the basics. So what you do when you get to the machine, a bit of my mental checklist, what I go through before I start cutting for the day. My assistant Kelly is going to join me, and she's going to actually perform most of the operations, and we're going to talk a little bit about maybe why she's doing what she's doing, and critique some of what she's doing if it's got a different thought than what I might have. So hopefully that's something that is on your mind. I get asked quite a bit about this, so I figured what a decent time for us to show everybody how to do it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to load this dirty, dried out, we think it's a piece of oak. There's no bark on it, so it's pretty tough to tell, and we might be able to tell when we open it up, but either way, it's been drying and cooking in the sun for a long time. We're going to switch the blades and do some of that basic maintenance. So I'll go ahead and pull this up. We're going to take turns. You're going to notice I'm doing some, Kelly's doing some, and that's not because it's super heavy. It's just because that way you can see everyone can do it.
I figured I'll leave it to you.
Okay, you take it over. So what I'm doing here, everybody, is I'm just checking, and you got to watch when you're pulling these up. Sometimes they need a little, and this is a lot of weight to do that with. Grab that can hook from me. Sure. Eyeball these when you're pulling them up, and if you got to make a little adjustment, now's the time to do it, because see how hard this is. It doesn't want to move. Sometimes you got to choose a little. You keep will do, is it's too heavy, I can't slide it.
Okay.
So you put some pressure on it. I'm going to just guide this side up and see if it wants to slide. Okay. You feel the weight come off when I push it? Yeah. So it's kind of nice if you have a partner, everybody, because they can add a little bit of push on this, and it takes a lot of weight out of it. People.
We're both on the Friday.
You're gonna catch that one. Good. So once you get it up here, before you take the cable off, okay, and I always recommend this. This is a big, heavy piece of wood. I don't know, this probably weighs 1,200 pounds at least, maybe more. You don't want that going anywhere, and I've seen accidents happen. So make sure you got this thing secured on a couple of sides so that it can't come rolling off the back end. Get those rests up, and then you're okay. So you're good now. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. So, big dirty piece. What are we going to do with them? So something that maybe not everyone's aware of, maybe you are, but there's a couple of holes in the log dogging system on because you can load from either side. This coupler will slide in the other side the same as it does this side. But the problem is when you load the way that we are, there's nothing to stop the log from coming all the way off the deck onto the operating side. So these dogging systems have a couple of holes, and we supply a couple of these D-rings. So they're usually just stuck in the bottom, and they're sitting down there like this. When you're loading, you can pick it up and put them in the middle and drop them, and it gives you a solid backstop, so you don't have to worry about these logs coming off. So just keep that in mind.
We also use those for transporting.
And yeah, actually, thank you. See, that's the reason that we have an assistant. She brings up things I forget. So exactly. So if you're going down the road, sometimes you don't want these things hanging down there that far. You can pin it at that halfway point and on the bottom, and what it does is it traps the dog in this up position. It can't come up, it can't go down on you. So again, for transporting, thanks Kelly, that's an excellent opportunity to use those other holes. Now, what I'm doing here is I put pressure against that on the bottom with my left hand, and then I push it into the log. And I'll keep doing that a couple of times till I can actually see that I'm applying enough force to this to hold it still. Now again, this is a big heavy log. At this point, really, as long as you're trapped against that backrest, it shouldn't really go anywhere. So you can tell Kelly when she dug into that, it's pretty solid. This thing's good to go for a cut. So maybe what we'll do, so now we got to check the saw head out. We can't start it yet because we're not ready to cut because we don't know where everything was left on this. So I think we'll bring it a little closer, which Kelly suggested in the beginning, and I said, oh no, it'll be fine at the back. And now looking at it, I think she's correct.
Sorry. Half a hair. Okay.
Good?
Yep.
So we'll bring this down here. Bring it back down where we can actually see what we're doing. Okay. Let's take these covers off now. Again, no worries. I feel like you're in a rush. Okay, so let's say we're coming back to the mill. We were cutting last weekend. We're going to recut again this weekend. But there's a couple things you want to do before you do that. So are you grabbing that? I'll grab the grease gun. You grab the dust. Okay. So first thing I do, I grease the band wheels. You want to grease that one, Kel? And they only need a couple of squirts. That's all you need. That's good. So if you're doing this regularly, you should just be able to plug this guy on. Give him a couple of squirts. You know, sometimes you'll see him squirt out one of these little holes in here, and that'll give you a good indication. Oh, okay, there's lots of grease in there. Other times you'll see the grease spit out around the band wheel, another good indication that, okay, I got some fresh grease in there. And if you ever see any water or moisture coming out of there, grease are good. Make sure you got all that water out. Worst that's going to happen is the grease will spray up in the cover, and that won't ever hurt anything. So. There. Okay. So you grease the band wheel. So you grab that drive belt right there. With these two fingers. And I want you to twist it. Can you get it to 90 degrees? Like this? And it gets tough after that. Oh, yeah. Point, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good way to check your drive belts, everybody, just to make sure they're sitting where you want them.
Okay.
If you grab it in the middle on the longest stretch, by the top and the bottom, and it takes a little bit of force, and you can get it to 90 degrees, good. That belt's at proper tension. You don't have to worry about it. If you can easily rotate it further than that, you should adjust your tensioner, okay? That being said, now we're going to do the guides, okay? So obviously we got one operator and non-operator. Now, let's we're going to change the blade here. Well, let's ask Kelly, actually. Let's ask Kelly. Kelly, so this log, if you were at home,
yes,
what blade would you want to try and use?
This has been down for a while, so it's going to be quite hard. But we don't know what's in there either.
That's true. This log came from a tree service, so
we don't know where it came from.
That's true.
Or what's in there. So if having a bimetal blade handy, making a first few cuts just to get a good look at what's in the grain, probably be my first choice if available. If not, I'd be going with my hardwood blade, my 7 degree.
Okay.
Personally.
So I agree. So I agree with Kelly. I think if you have the option with something that's been down this long that is gray and as cooked as this is, I think if I had a bimetal, that's what I would start with. So, and we do. So I agree. That's what we're going to start with. So I'll grab my gloves.
Okay. I'm just going to step back.
And we'll
take this off, and then I'll grab the blade.
And then, well, you got to grab that side first. Just hang tight. My assistant's eager. And that's a good thing. We'll back the tension off here. And I bring this off more than I got to. Like, I'll put probably a 1/2 inch that I can see on the threads, guys. Give that a little push, and you can see there's no tension on the blade anymore, right? And I always try and take the top out first, because it always gets hung up or wants to catch something. So if you get the top out of there, can you get that count? Grab it up the top there. Oh, see, you got the bottom.
Yeah.
See, it's perfect. So she just showed why I do the top.
Yeah.
So there we go.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, you got that?
Yeah, I do.
You gonna coil it?
No. Next time.
Coiling next time. You're grabbing the bimetal? Yeah. Okay. That's good there. Alright. So, exact opposite of what we did, guys. I normally put the top in, and I put my hand on it, and then I go to I don't even look at the band wheel. I just look at the guide, okay? And I get right into the guide, and this will usually go where it wants to go, which is where it's supposed to be. Okay. So we're about right without tension on it. Okay, so let's put some tension on him. You good? Yeah, you're good.
Yep.
So again, I've got this set up right at the top, which on the HD36 is 6.5 full turns. So we'll bring him right to the top. Now this is a bimetal blade, and it's got a little different texture, so there's a possibility that it could track in a different spot. Okay, so we'll do this slow, okay, and take a look and see what's going on here. And make sure it's not walking off. And I can already tell you it's walking off the back of this one. I'm going to back this off a bit and just see what it does here. Okay. And this is something to keep in mind, guys, when you're changing blades. If you're using 3/4, it's going to be the same. If you're using 7/8, it's going to be the same. But if you switch, you should double check, because you just don't know. Don't count on it staying where you had it the last time. Always take a look. So, this is actually behaving properly now. So I would say there was probably some sawdust or something on the band wheel that was screwing it up a bit for traction. And that's it. We're at full tension. So, okay. So what we're going to do now is we'll get back to those guides that we've changed the blade. So what we're going to do, you can hear it scraping. Can you hear it scraping?
You hear it touching something.
So right away, so you can hear that, guys. Maybe, maybe not. So you can hear that blade rubbing the ceramic, which tells you right away they're out of whack. Something's got to be adjusted. So what I do, all these blades are welded, of course. None of them are perfect. There's always a weld on the blade. Looks just like this. That's going to be your thickest part of the blade. So set your ceramics up to match that, okay? So I'll do this side, Cal, and then you can do the other side.
Perfect.
So what I do is I undo the bottom one. And you can see that's loose in there. I can move with my finger. I undo the top one, and actually it popped a little bit, so this was actually pushing down on that blade. So, and I just let it sit there. I just let it go where it sits, and I tighten it back up, okay?
Perfect.
And I choke these when I do this, okay? It's only a little wee 5/16 head screw. It does not need a massive amount of tension, or you'll just break it off in your block, and then you'll be really mad, because it's not an easy thing to fix. So we just give that a little snug. I bring the bottom one up. I just touch the blade so I can feel it. No pressure, just touch it. And I tighten that up again with that choked off, so I know I'm not going to overdo it. I put my thumb on the front of it, and I give it a little pull. And if I can feel no interference or restriction, I'm happy with that. So basically, I'm running as tight as I can run without interfering with the blade, okay?
Does that stop the blade from wanting to do?
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps. Okay. Tracking, when it comes to, and I'll talk about this a bit while Kelly's adjusting that guide, that guide, is, so when you get a blade wanting to do this, of course your guides are going to help with that, but I personally feel that your tracking adjustment and your lead, meaning how far out is that blade sitting on the wheel, that's going to affect it more than anything. So if you're tracked improperly and that blade's hanging too far off the band wheel, it's way harder for it to be controlled. So the more you can get the actual band back on top of the surface of the wheel and just leave the teeth protruding, then you're going to have more control of it. So because you've actually got something fixed that it doesn't want to be, it's harder for it to be able to tip like this. So you're good there? Okay, cover's back on. You're tight, you're happy, we check the belt, and then okay. I gave you the key side.
So that.
Okay, so we've got, I'll lift this back up. Okay. So, that being said, my wonderful assistant, Kelly, set this thing up where you think this should be open, where you would open this log up. You adjust that saw head to look at what you're thinking now. And I'm testing Kelly a bit. Kelly's not been with us very long, but she's very astute, very fast learner, and she's been cutting an awful lot on her own. So I'm curious where she would do this, and then we'll see what we think.
I'm only setting there because I like to cut my first row and turn it.
Okay.
That's mostly the way I have been cutting, because I cut a lot of plain sawn or live edge.
Okay. So you're mostly flat sawing what you're cutting.
Correct.
Okay. So let's see. Let me look at where you are, and let's see where you're at here.
Mm-hmm. And yeah. And
So a couple things.
okay.
I wouldn't come in that deep
To right off the gate.
for a couple reasons.
Okay.
I wouldn't come in that deep. One,
Because of how old it is.
that's part of the reason. But the first reason is that's going to be a really hard cut. We know it.
Mm-hmm.
The deeper it's going to be, the more we don't really know.
Right.
Okay. So when you're opening something this old and this hard up, you're better to do it in little bites. It's like eating an apple.
Smart.
Okay. So do it in little bites. I would never come into something this hard, that heavy. And if you did manage to make that cut, it's going to be a really heavy pig of a slab to try and move around.
It's true.
So I always open it up in little bites.
Okay.
Say.
Yeah.
And that just keeps everything lighter and makes it easier to cut because we don't really know what we're dealing with till we get into it.
100% true.
All right.
Yeah.
The next thing that I think this is critical if you're cutting, make sure you're opening up on a 4/4 line.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And
So the reason for that is there's always stray material that comes off of the outside of these cuts that are live edge.
mm-hmm.
And if you open them up in random thicknesses, they're useless to you. That wood's garbage now, it's just firewood.
True.
If you cut everything 1 inch thick, you can always edge those boards and you'll always have 1 inch material. So if you're doing like an outside shed and you just want to do a quick shiplap on the outside of it or a wood shed or whatever it is, you just got some random stray material around that you can use for something.
Absolutely.
Right? Rather than just these big chunks of whatever. So,
Okay.
and then I'm going to pause there.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and we're here with another Norwood Cookie Minute. Today we're going to be discussing hook and pitch when it comes to the blades. So this pitch describes the distance between tooth to tooth, right at the top. This is a 7/8, and this is a 3/4. And the hook angle is based on if this is 0, this is 4, 7, and 10. Thank you, and I hope this helps when you go to order your next pack of blades.
think this is oak.
It's
And you know what?
yeah.
It's actually gonna be pretty good. So this is I do believe it's oak, and it's a spalted oak, which for any furniture builder people might like to take a piece home. So we'll keep cutting this. But this will probably be some pretty nice stuff with all these black
Oh,
lines.
I love it.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So if you were at home
Mhm.
and you were cutting this, what would you do now? What would your next step be?
I know that this is a nice flat edge. I like to put this at the bottom.
So what would your next step be? What would you do? You want to roll this? Okay. So normally I would agree because my rule of thumb, and if anybody's watched some of my other videos, I say, okay, so if you get 8 inches of clear surface, time to start thinking about cutting or turning. Because you know this is a board. That's the reason I say that. Okay?
Yes.
So that's actually kind of good that you brought that up earlier. So if we make another 4/4 cut on here, so a 1-inch board, this can be edged, and you know you got an 8-inch clear board,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that's why.
Okay.
That's why I say use your 4/4 lines when you're opening up your log.
Right.
Okay, but I wouldn't do that yet.
Okay. Because it's just a big boy.
Well, 2 things are going to happen. We're going to get a little more clear face when we make our next 1-inch cut, and we're going to make it a little bit lighter.
True.
So, okay, so let's make another 1-inch cut off of this, and then we'll flip it. We'll roll it around. And we're pouring the water to this, guys. Just pretty much everything she's got, we're pouring it to it because it's so hard and it's not going to hurt anything. So. So that was a little harder push.
It was a little bit more.
A little more effort.
Which is nice.
A little more effort had to put into that one.
I did. Still beautiful though.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is going to work good. You know,
beautiful.
it's always the case with these ugly, gnarly pieces that maybe you've avoided or you just sat them to the side.
Right.
They're usually the ones that have just the coolest colors and patterns. And just always seems to work that way. Can you grab the trainer? And we'll do it from that side, Kel.
Okay.
Do you want me to come around? No, you shouldn't have to. Just should see everything we're doing.
That's okay. I'll move this. Okay.
Where'd we put the big hook?
Oh,
Or where did I put the big hook? Oh, over there.
Yep.
You got that?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not. That's why I need a helper.
And I'm happy to help.
So that's always the obstacle, right? So I back this guy out. There's a bunch of holes in this log loader, so you can get them up to a higher spot if you want. Well, gives you some flexibility depending on what you're doing. Yeah. Take this handle off. Okay. So we're gonna go right to the belly.
Oh, okay.
So you come around underneath there. Yeah. Get that right in the right spot. Right? Okay, that's probably good. 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 Right there. And then, unless you got a hammer handy. With your hand. That's got to dig in or it won't work.
Beautiful. It's a multi-purpose tool now.
It is a multi-purpose tool now. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but it will do it.
In a pinch.
It will do. Yeah, oh yeah. Take the dogs off. And actually, you know what? We're going to give this a little push. I'll bring these rests up a little bit so that I actually have something to turn on. I was too low. I was worried about it climbing over them. Now, do you want it 90 or do you want it on its belly? How would you do that?
I will cut it any which way you want to, but
what would you do
I
if you
normally
What
put
would
it,
you do if you were at home?
I normally put it on its belly.
Good, 'cause that's what I would recommend
Okay.
with this one. I say on his belly, everybody. I mean flat side down.
What we
So
did.
we're
We just made a belly.
So we're talking the same turkey here.
Yeah, okay.
See, and that's exactly. No, we still got to keep going.
Oh, I did like.
Well, maybe. Cal, hang
Yeah.
on.
Can we just
So
give
we're
it
up
a go?
on this rest. I'm just going to give it a little push. Watch your fingers.
Yep. I'll get that out of the way.
We're good. I'll just drop this. Actually, you know what? Let's do what I do at home. I don't take this off.
And then,
Okay, everybody. This is an option. You can bring it way out here, like that,
just
and miss
clear
the
the
saw
head.
head.
very nice.
Just make sure you're going to miss the saw head, because it'll stop you. All right, but yeah, so that's what I do. I bring him out because I don't like picking it up and down every time I want to use it. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Up a little higher.
Pick your line.
Okay.
Now, what do you do when you're doing that? Are you looking down what the blade line is?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have to take a lot.
And as a rule, everybody, come in short. If you're not sure, come in shallow, because you can always make another cut.
That's true, and that's what I'm gonna do with this one.
Good. If that's where you feel good and it's shallow, don't worry about it. Make the cut. Come back and drop it in. Don't go too deep right away. You're not ready for it. So you could see when you were cutting
Yeah,
where that got really hard to cut, eh?
right there. You could feel it.
So, and you see it. See
Yeah.
why?
It's beautiful.
But there's a big knot right there. So that's why that got so hard, everybody. If you could see the saw head moving a little bit while she was cutting, it's the fact that this is so hard, and because this great big knot is in it, there's not much you can do. But you did a great job. There's nothing that could have made that any better than what you did it. That was great.
Awesome. I start listening for things
Yeah.
when I feel that little shake in the handle.
Yeah.
Nail, sparks, anything.
Yeah, you get the feedback,
Yeah.
right? You're starting to look. It starts to make you go, okay, something's changed.
Exactly.
What was it? Was it a
Exactly.
knot? Was it material? Was it debris? Who knows?
Right? Is the blade doing something fun?
Exactly. So let's rotate this one again now. Stand him up. Hold that in the middle there. Got it?
Yep. Okay.
You see what you did the first time there? Good. Good hammer.
Good hammer. No,
Not.
by a hammer. Okay, locked.
Careful you don't go too far. If you go further than you want to be, it's hard to get it back.
There we go.
Hopefully show you a little trick here. Oh, here you go.
Oh.
See what happened?
Yeah.
So now what?
So now what? Now I gotta take the tension off and back it up a little bit.
No, you gotta. So what you want to do is release that ball, like you did when I was pulling on it. That little string.
Oh, this little?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of sitting halfway, and
Yeah.
then hold this handle, and then let him down. And just back it out. No. Keep going so you can get yourself some slack. There you go. Now you can probably go back.
Yeah.
No. More.
Do it again. Yeah, we're in the middle grade, so.
There you go. Go a little more. Give yourself lots of spots there.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and this is a Norwood Cookie Minute. Today we're going to be talking about the track sweeps. I get asked a lot if there's supposed to be 4 or 2 that come with the Norwood Sawmill. Let me explain why we only ship 2. We send 2 because we feel it's best to have them on the front of the sawmill. So when the carriage passes, it sweeps off all the debris. If there was 4, that material will get stuck in between and you would just push it back and forth. They really do keep the T-rail nice and clean. They stop all that buildup from adding and making it feel like you're pushing your mill down a bumpy road. Keeping these clean helps you save time. Thanks again for joining me for a Norwood Cookie Minute.
I don't have my level, so. Okay, well there, come.
Okay.
Go behind it, and I want you to make a square on the blade and our cuts, and tell me when you think it's in the right spot.
Okay.
That's how we get it. Plant this near the bottom. I know he's still stable, but you can maneuver the log just a hair,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to readjust anything. And now you can play with your guide a little better because we've got a
Nice flat edge.
we've got a stable surface to go against. Right. I think that's okay. So let's talk about something here. So you go over here. Okay, so looking at this, we know we've got to get a flat surface here. But also standing back and looking at this, look at the bottom of it compared to the bunts. What do you see?
It does a little wave.
Well, it's got a bow in it.
Yeah.
Like it's not sitting on this bunk, not even close, right? We're like this far off. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we're like this far off the bunk. So what that tells you when you're opening this up is you know you're going to have to take a whole bunch out of the other side.
Right.
To get flat.
Right.
So if you take a whole bunch out of here, you might be losing. So you got to pay attention to what's coming.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's just get a flat surface on this. If it's got a little bit of weave edge, we can always cut it off, and then we'll get over it.
Perfect.
Okay.
Look at the plan.
Probably 2 cuts. Then we think.
Okay, let's turn this guy around. Grab hold of him so he doesn't get you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sit down. Great. Perfect.
That's nice stuff. That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really pretty color.
Absolutely gorgeous.
It's got all this white and dark. It's kind of neat.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'll get it away.
Hello all, I hope you can hear me okay. I am behind the scenes at Norwood HQ helping put the videos together. First off, I want to thank everybody for all of the great comments and all of the great questions this week. It is unbelievable to see how many people are writing in from Facebook, from YouTube, and seeing where everybody is watching from. It's awesome, and we're glad that you're enjoying it. Seeing some comments that we may be having audio problems. I hope you can hear me okay. So apologies for that. I hope it wasn't too long, but what we will do is we will do our very best to get these videos corrected and uploaded to YouTube and hopefully to Facebook as well. And we will make sure the audio is corrected for you if you want to catch up on any of that last segment where Trevor and Kelly were on the mill. So thanks again for joining us this week. Trevor is going to be doing a video next week, a live stream next week for all of those amazing questions that came in. We couldn't get to all of them today, so we will we'll try to make up for it next week. Keep submitting those questions, and we'll do our best to cover them all off on the 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we'll hope to see you then. Thanks so much for joining us.